just gonna jump right into it after I just struggled to get my Wi-Fi to connect for like 5 minutes, and I'm like on edge because I just got home like 20 minutes ago and I found two, not one, no, not one, two spiders, two spiders in my house. So I'm on edge now. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna be reading some creepy stories to you tonight from Reddit. None other than Reddit. And I am actually going to be scrolling on the creepy encounters page, and I just have them ranked top of all time, and I'm just gonna pick some that intrigue me or whatever. So let me just get right into it. So we're scrolling. We're still scrolling. This one's really short. So let's start with this one. This one is titled Never Go Inside, and it is by the user Ostranini _strangely. Sorry if that's not right. But anyways, I used to deliver pizzas when in college, and I delivered this order to this house, and a guy opened the door and was like, "Honey, the pizza is here." But the house was obviously empty. Like nothing in this house. No furniture, no rugs, no nothing. Literally floor and walls. It was a massive place and abandoned. No noise whatsoever. The guy told me to come in while he goes to get his wallet. Red flag. Don't go in. And asks me to stand in a very specific spot and tells me, "Don't move." I'm sorry. Okay. Locks the fucking door. Then he looks... Are you messing up? Locks the fucking door, and then he walks to another room to get his wallet and keeps looking back at me. I'm waiting for like 10 minutes and nothing. I walk towards the corner the guy went to and get close to the door, and I hear the guy talking about me, like physically describing me, and keeps saying, "It'll be easy." That's when I fucking bolted, found the back door, hopped the fence, and quit that day, and I never delivered shit ever again. As you shouldn't. That would do me in. Like, sorry, I'm done. Like, I'm done here. I can't do this ever again. Never, ever go into somebody's house. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely no. I'm sorry if you order a fucking pizza and you tell me, "Oh, come in." No, actually, I think I'll stay right out here. You're not gonna force me to come into your house. Nay. Anyway, fuck that. Guys, I started working 7 to 3:30 every day. I am usually in bed at 8, asleep by 9:30, and it is 11 o'clock. I am tired. Okay. You know, I was just skimming earlier and I found a really good one. Okay. boyfriend was at work, and I was not expecting company, especially so late at night. I turned my music down and realized the door is not fucking locked. Instantly, I'm terrified. I'm only 4'10", so I had to prop myself up the wall to look through the people and carefully lock the door. More pounding. The man outside my door is no one that I recognize and looks disgruntled, dirty, and quite frightening. He was short and stocky and looked angry. He grew frustrated knowing I just turned my music down. He heard me lock the door and started calling out, "Ma'am." More knocking. "Excuse me, ma'am." How the fuck did he know I was a woman? I look around the room and see my blinds were open and realize he must have been watching me vacuum. Thankfully, my neighbors right across from me opened their doors and the husband asked, "Excuse me, who are you and what are you doing?" Startled, the creep fumbles and says, "Oh, good evening, sir. I was just going to offer my carpet cleaning services to her." And the husband goes, "That's great. She doesn't want it. You need to leave right now." Creep left promptly. Afterwards, I called the police, my boyfriend, and closed up the blinds and texted the neighbors to thank them for scaring him away. I paid extra to live on the top floor, but it seems this creep was watching me from below. Good on her neighbors. You gotta love having good neighbors. I have good neighbors, and I feel like we look out for each other, and it's nice. Okay. Let's see. Here's another short one. I'm sorry that these are short, but I'll just keep reading. Keep reading until I just can't no more, which won't be that long probably. I'm fucking tired. But this one is by the user Toy Story Alien, and it is titled, "I Always Wondered What They Were Planning for Me." I was around 13 years old and at the shopping center with my parents. I wanted to go off on my own and wander around by myself for a while, and my parents agreed. After a little while, I was stopped by a woman in casual clothes. She told me that she was an undercover cop and I was suspected of shoplifting. Because I was young, I was terrified. I didn't ask her for ID or anything like that. I didn't know that I could question authority. Yes, you can. She asked to look through my bag and I let her, insisting I hadn't stolen anything. She asked me how old I was, who I was there with, and then she asked me something that still sends chills down my spine. "Are your parents expecting you to go home with them tonight?" I told her of course they were, why wouldn't they be? And she then insisted I had to follow her and go figure out this shoplifting thing. I went. She was leading me toward the exit. By the grace of God, before we got there, we bumped into my dad. He asked what was going on, and I told him. As I was explaining the situation, the woman got on her phone and was talking to someone, saying things like, "Oh, this isn't the right girl," then hangs up and says, "Sorry, wrong person," and abruptly walks off. My dad and I stood there dumbfounded. When my mom found out the situation, she was really unimpressed by the way the undercover cop handled the situation. She took me to center management the next day and complained to them about how I was treated by their undercover cop. And when this woman answers, "We don't employ undercover cops in this center," I have no idea what that woman had planned for me, but I thank my lucky stars every day that we ran into my dad. They were probably definitely about to be abducted, sold into sex trafficking, whatever. Freaky. And as a kid, you just wouldn't even, I would have shit myself if I was out at the store and got pulled aside by, somebody, an adult, and they were like, "Oh, you shoplifted." Even if I knew I didn't, I would still be scared like me. Oh my god, that was disgusting. I just cracked my neck. this one sounds interesting. It is by the user Meme Noon, and it's titled, "Our Pharmacist Saved My Sister from a Possible Kidnapping." This was 1992, and my mother was going through a bad patch in her marriage and chemotherapy for breast cancer. We lived in a very quiet town where residential areas only had small markets. For everything else, including pharmacy and public calls, we had to go to the main market, which was almost 3.5 miles from our house, 1.5 miles from our apartment blocks to Main Road, and then 2 miles to the market, either by walk or public transport. My mother, who was going through some tough times given my father's complete disconnect with us, she used to call her brother, my uncle, for advice and catharsis, who lived in another city. For those calls, she had to go to the public call office, which was run by 2 weird men. The same market at the pharmacy where my mother would buy her medicine. I was 11 and my older sister was 17. One evening, my mother, along with my sister, went to the public call office to talk to my uncle. I don't remember why, but I think my father asked her to leave the house and she wanted to discuss her options. She was in distress and didn't realize it was already late when she finished the call. The market was closed, so was the public transport. My mom said Sis paid the bill and started their walk home on the path next to the main road. The 2 public call office owners closed the PCO and started following them, one on foot right behind them and trying to offer a ride, and then the other on bicycle next to them on the deserted main road. My mother strictly refused, held my sister's hand tightly, and started walking as fast as she could. When a white van appeared on the service road and started driving slowly next to them. The PCO guys had already arranged a ride with some really bad intentions and didn't seem to go away. They were probably waiting for them to get off Main Road to strike. On the next turn, 2 men came from opposite sides of the footpath, and to my mother's relief, it was the pharmacist and his friend who were returning to pick his car up from his shop's parking after a walk. They saw the men in the van and immediately realized what was going on. They stopped, said hello, and asked if she needed help. They agreed to walk them home, and the PCO men fled upon seeing these guys. The kind pharmacist saw my mother and sister to the safety of our house, and my mother never went into that PCO again. I mean, how lucky were they to just have run into these kind people or pharmacists who could sense something was off and helped out, you know? Okay. Let's do this one. It is by the user Unpretty Habits, and it is titled, "Acting Naive Might Have Saved My Life." A little backstory leading up to this meeting. I grew up in a shady area and would rarely leave home after 7 to 8 p.m. as it was considered dangerous. Going into high school, I got a pit bull. He was a gentle giant who loved everyone and everything. He had some protection work training before he joined the family, but he was getting older and retired, and I took him home with me. So back to the story. I was at this time 17, female, short, blonde, but very aware of my size. But having a big, scary dog, I finally felt safe walking alone. And on that very night, I had set out to take a longer walk as my dog, let's call him Meatball, really needed to run off some energy. Why couldn't they give the dog's real name? As we walked, I became aware of the fact that there really wasn't anyone else. I just read that. We walked for about 10 to 15 minutes before a man turned up behind us. We continued to walk, and I noticed he is taking the same turns as me and Meatball. I sped up, feeling my heart beat in my chest. Meatball, who normally spent his time sniffing at the end of the leash, was now very aware of the situation. He had slowed down and gotten so close to my leg with full focus on this man. I started turning at every turn I could, and the man followed, even though we were now walking in circles. He started getting closer and closer to us, as I am now sure he is following us. I remember something my father once told us. Never let someone follow you, as you're most vulnerable from behind. If you get in a situation where you can force your stalker to pass you, do so. I stopped, grabbed onto Meatball's leash. I leaned back in the leash, acting as if I have to put my entire body weight into holding him back. Now I am aware that I, at this point in my life, looked small and weak, but as my father is an old veteran, I could fight before I could walk. And even holding Meatball back was not a task, as I was a lot stronger than I looked. Well, I called out, trying to sound as naive as I could, hoping that if I did have to fight, I would surprise him with my strength. Excuse me, my dog really does not like people, and I can't really hold him back when he lunges if I step to the side. Could you pass us so I have a chance at holding him back? As I say this, Meatball starts barking, growling, and snapping towards the man who has now stopped. He looks me up and down, stares at Meatball, and turns around, not saying a word. He left quickly, and I called my parents and asked them to meet me, and now I realized he could easily hide anywhere on our walk back. My dad showed up only a few minutes later, baseball bat in hand. Nothing really happened, but after being followed by this man at every turn I took for at least 35 minutes, I know this could have ended really badly if I had not had Meatball or my dad close by. She is so brave for that. I feel like when I'm in certain situations, which I never go walking by myself, never, I actually don't go out by myself a lot for this reason. I'm just like petrified of shit like that. But the times that I have been in situations where I felt very uncomfortable, I feel like I kind of shut down, and like I don't think I would ever have the balls to actually say something, and I'm kind of a fucking idiot. Like I would stand no chance is what I'm saying. So good for her. Also, Meatball is like a really cute name, even though that's not the dog's real name. Okay. This one is by the user YogaChick365, and it is titled, Trust Your Gut Feeling. I am female. At the time of my tale, was 27 years old. I was living with my boyfriend, now fiance, in the same house we live in today. Our home is a small beach cottage with multiple windows on all sides. The home was moved in the 70s from a rural beach town just a few miles from here to our quaint neighborhood amongst sprawling brick ranches and what I imagine at the time to be a desirable little working-class neighborhood on the edge of town. Around the time of my story, my boyfriend would take frequent trips out of town, often for work, but also on occasion to assist his older parents, who lived out of state, with their home repairs, remodeling, etc. He'd typically be gone for a few weeks, but up to 2 months at a time. At this point, he'd been out of town for a week or so. I was tooting along in my day-to-day life like normal. Going to work at my 9 to 5, working out in the evening, chores, rinse and repeat. One night, I was laying in bed on the cusp of my sleepy melatonin stupor, when suddenly I was jolted wide awake with an overwhelming feeling to get up and check that all the windows were locked. I thought it was a strange impulse, other than the fact that I hadn't checked the windows since my boyfriend had left. I had no rational reason to think of the windows right then, no strange sounds, nothing I threw the lock latches that had been left unsecured and groggily stumbled back to bed, not thinking anything else about it, and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, as usual, I woke up to the cringe-inducing alarm blaring from my phone and began readying myself for work. I started the water kettle for my beloved French press and stood at my kitchen window waiting for the whistle. My entire body was instantly coated in the dreaded truth bumps, aka goosebumps, as I noticed a single slice in my kitchen's window screen. Utterly shocked, I ran to the office, then to the guest room, to the laundry room, and as I'm sure you've already guessed, dear reader, every screen in my home had a single slice in it, a slice just large enough to fit a hand through. All but 3 screens out of 18 windows in my house had been sliced. The 3 that were left untouched were the windows to my bedroom, the bedroom that I peacefully slept my butt off in while someone was attempting to get in. By this time, my kettle was screeching at me to remove it from the heat. I ran shaking to the kitchen to answer the kettle's call, while attempting not to keel over from the second heart attack I was having before I'd even dressed. I was freaked out beyond measure. The cops were called and a detective came out to investigate. On the back side of my house, he noticed a single handprint on one of the windows. He tested for fingerprints and determined the person attempting to get in was wearing gloves. He, of course, had no proof, but he also believed that the person must have known I was in that room. Nothing ever came of the investigation. I can't explain why I got out of bed at that night, but now I will forever trust my gut. That is so fucking scary. When I was reading that and they said they got the chills, I also got the chills. And now I feel like I need to check my windows. My fiance and I, why was I about to say we sleep in the same bed? No shit. But we have a bathroom connected to our bedroom. And in our bathroom, there's another door, and that leads to another bathroom, which is weird. It's like a Jack and Jill bathroom, but anyways. And that leads to the hallway, which leads to the rest of the house. So I always lock that door in between the 2 bathrooms so we can still get to our bathroom. But that middle door is locked that leads to the rest of the house, and then I lock our bedroom door at night too, because that's one of my biggest fears. And she's like, oh, we have a security system. Like, you're crazy. But if somebody's gonna come in, they're gonna come in, you know what I mean? If somebody, not everybody that's breaking into somebody's house is going to be scared off by a security system or an alarm, you know? And so what if they're not? And what if I hadn't locked our doors? And what if they came in our room? I don't know. I'm freaking myself out. I am going to read one more and then go to bed because I'm creeping myself out. Ooh, let's do this one. No, just kidding. I don't want to do that one. Okay. This one is by the user Crispin Locke, and it is titled, I think my neighbor is watching me through my attic. So I moved into a duplex with my ex about 3 years ago, and what we prefer. So I moved into a duplex with my ex about 3 years ago in what we thought was a safer part of the city. One of our neighbors, Amber, works in the duplex rental office, and her husband, Ed, was at the time fresh out of prison. Later would see all of the swastika tattoos, and had been doing and continues to do landscape work for the rentals, like mow the lawns, cut down trees, etc. Other than that, he is home mostly doing odds and ends things like tinkering with his mower or truck or something. They both are super nice people, very kind and loving towards others, and always offer to help out. We have smoked weed together a few times. Ed smokes more than Amber, and I've talked about all kinds of things. So I thought I could trust him and felt very safe being their neighbor. I once mentioned how sometimes when I'm home alone, I hear steps in the attic over my room and what sounded like a chair being dragged. How sometimes the noises follow me around the house and always freaks freaks me out to the point of calling someone just to feel a little safer until the noises die down. Ed said, "What? You think we're spying on you?" in a laughing way, but it creeped me out a little. So then I break up with my boyfriend, and he moves out. This is recent, so a few months ago. Ed started texting me asking me if I wanted to smoke while Amber was still at work. I declined every time, finding different excuses, because I felt uncomfortable around him still. Then he asked if I wanted to have sex with him because he thinks Amber is cheating on him. I definitely shut that down, and it was awkward as fuck. I didn't tell Amber because I didn't want to get kicked out or have some horrible awkward tension, and I hate confrontation, so I just kept quiet. And that's when I start to hear things in the attic above my room more often. It freaked me out even more when I woke up to a loud bang outside my front door at about 3-4 a.m. And when I went to examine it, there was a small lockpick outside my door on the ground, but no one around. I kept the lockpick, and the next day I texted a picture of it to Amber to let her know. I thought someone was creeping around, and she said, "Oh, that's Ed's. That's his ice pick, not a lockpick, sweetie. No one can pick a deadbolt with that." But I know the difference in a 4 and skinny-ass lockpick and an ice pick. I'm so scared to be alone here, especially at night. Our attics connect, and it's not outlandish to think that he could be up there spying on me. I even found a freshly drilled hole in the ceiling of my room. I just put wadded up paper in it and try not to think of it. I honestly hope nothing comes of it and I'm just being paranoid. Edit. For everyone saying to call the police, I really have no evidence. I have the lockpick still and pictures of my door being messed with, but when I've gone into my attic, it's been completely empty. I've never gone in alone because its opening is in my garage and there's no ladder, so it requires 2 people. But as of now, it is a gaping hole above my washer and dryer and is very hard to get into without good upper body strength. I'd call my ex to come home when the dragging would start, and by the time he got there, it'd be cleared out. So I'm hesitant to report anything with no evidence. This is 100% true. I'm staying with my BF until I move out in a few weeks, despite my neighbors being upset that I'm leaving. And to address another thing, I didn't see any swastika tattoos until months after I'd been hanging out on their back porch to smoke with them. He had his shirt off for the first time, and there were at least 3 on his body. Confused because Amber and Ed are super Wiccan, and she has Wicca tattoos all over and stuff, so I believe maybe his tattoos were for protection in prison. Either way, after that, I stopped hanging with them and would only speak to them if we were both outside at the same time. The first comment says, "Move," in all caps. No shit. The fact that she's like, oh god, mine is itchy. The fact that she's like, "Oh, I just shoved some wadded up paper in the hole and called it a day." A freshly drilled hole in her ceiling. And baby girl, if there was a freshly drilled hole in my ceiling and I hadn't freshly drilled a hole in my ceiling, I'm gonna fucking question that. I'm not gonna shove paper in it and just carry on. Like, what the fuck? But I get it's easier said than done to just up and move, you know? It's not just something you can just do, you know, unless you have somewhere to go. And a lot of people don't. But like, the thing outside the door after she heard those noises, and then like her neighbor being like, "Oh, that's just Ed's." Like, why was it on my porch though? He's definitely a creep. He's definitely spying on her, and I'm scared now. So that is all I will be reading tonight. I'm spooked. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories. Sorry that this video is a little like all over the place. I feel pretty discombobulated. I think because it's so late. I'm doing a tattoo tour this weekend. Mark my words, I am doing it. I am. So, stick around, subscribe if you want to see that. And comment down below anything. the next one.